Hello, it's my birthday today. I am 31 years old, which means it is officially over 5 years. 5 fucking years. And I will not excuse my language that I have been sick. 5 years, that's half a decade. It's a lot of life to lose, yet I must tell my brain to remain grateful for the things that I've had left. And if you'd told me that when I was newly sick, that would have plummeted my spirit, because there was no way that I was going to be sick that long. You know, I refused to give up my life. And I remember watching the ME documentary, can't remember what it's called, on Netflix by, can't even remember her name, which is terrible of me. Somebody watching will remember. There was a Netflix documentary with the lady with the curly hair with ME, who actually recovered with an operation, by the way. Super fucking nuts. Let me just find that ME documentary. Unrest, and it was by Jennifer Bree. Jennifer Bree recovered, which is crazy, because I remember a statement, and I remember watching Unrest with a girlfriend of mine, and she found the end kind of negative, which kind of convinced me that it was too. Because I remember Jennifer Bree saying something along the lines of how she's basically accepting this new life she has. I can't remember the quote, so I'm not going to attempt it, but it was to misquote it entirely, but say the same kind of thing. She was saying that she has a new life now, and now she's going to learn to live this one. And I hated that, because I felt like that was giving up. That didn't fit into recovery for me. Recovery for me was, I have my entire life back. I have everything that I want back. And she actually recovered, though, which is a massive caveat to that, because she is better now. She has no symptoms of CFS anymore, and hers was done with an operation. They found that she had that weird thing with the brainstem, which is kind of like not in place, and she got better. Crazy. It's not successful for everybody, but it was successful for her, which is just amazing. And I hope that she continues her fight for ME and CFS, because I think that she's gained enough audience now that it would be amazing. But it's also more evidence that CFS is truly a syndrome of what? Well, fuck knows. I think that's what the doctors are saying when they say CFS. I've always thought that. And I remember there was a doctor who I said very early on, in the first 6 months I was seeing doctors like every day almost. I was calling up and getting an emergency appointment because I was fucking dying. And I was making sure that I got in to see a doctor. I didn't care what the receptionist said. I would convince her to let me see someone. I saw every single doctor in my surgery, to the point where he said, look, there's only, the way that we work is by ruling things out. And when there's nothing left to rule out, we don't really know what to do. And it's at that point they diagnose you with CFS. Because it's a syndrome of what? Who knows? And we have great evidence, and I have personal evidence through my testing that shows that my mitochondrial is not working very well. My Krebs cycle has a few blockages in it. It doesn't work very well. So, you know, there are things there. I have more evidence, well, less evidence, but more calculations to suggest based on evidence and based on testing and based on the hair test itself, but going by Andy Cutler's counting rules, that I do have a very high mercury level, which I believe because my mother had mercury, her mother had mercury, and her mother had mercury in their mouths, and then I had my first mercury filling at 8 years old, and I proceeded to have something like 6 or 8 fillings. I even swallowed one on one occasion, eating an apple at school when I was a very little boy, very young, because it was my first ever school. So I would have been very young when I swallowed that filling, which is awful. I was probably 7 or 8 years old, and the fact that they're putting, I don't know if they're still doing it, but the fact that a 7-year-old kid had this toxic element in his mouth is awful. But the world is still very young. The world is still very young. Our information on a lot of things is still very young, even though like some things have become blatantly obvious. There's a period of transition where we have the information and then everybody else adapts it, because it's like, oh yeah, there's still people smoking, there's still people smoking. So what am I making this video for? Well, my health isn't that great at the moment. It's pretty bad right now. I actually feel awful. I'm very spacey, and although I'm articulating my words very well, it's actually not showing what's underneath, which is not very good. I don't have insane fatigue, but I feel super off balance. I feel out of it. What I think I have is, although I think I have this chronically, it's almost like I have an acute case of Candida and gut dysbiosis. And I know why. I know why because for the past year, I have not been taking care of myself properly. And almost every week or every 2 weeks, I put off doing the right thing because I'm focused on what's in front of me. And I have incredible ADD, which I would also say and admit that I think is down partially to my diet and my nutrition over my life. I wasn't even breastfed. So even from like a boy, I was on sugar, just in the form of formula. And then by like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I was drinking those mini cans of cola by the crate. My nanny used to buy Coke from the cash and carry for their business, and she would always bring a crate home for me, and I would slam through cans of Coca-Cola, from a very young age. I was obviously addicted to it, and I never had any nutrition growing up, and then I think I've kept that addiction. That there is probably bacteria inside of me which just steers me towards needing sugar, and it's very hard to stop that. However, 6 days ago or 7 days ago, I did completely cut out coffee for the first time in probably 10 months, which I love coffee. I am almost a hobbyist coffee. I would love to practice actual roasting and to be a barista. I feel like it would be a great passion of mine. But it's, with the way that my health is, it's detrimental, and I have to sacrifice something else. I have to do that. Sugar, processed sugar, I've cut out all processed sugar. I'm not having anything with processed sugar. I'm eating raw ingredients. When I say raw ingredient, I'm cooking, but I'm not having anything that has anything processed in it. I haven't done this for a while. When I did my last update video, I was eating better and I'd cut a lot of things out, but I was still living on Deliveroo. Really, I was still not putting in the effort to sit in my pilot seat and do what I had to do to get myself well, even though I felt and knew and had evidence that if I continued to behave the way I was, I would certainly end up with incredibly ill health. And that's precisely where I am now. I have incredibly ill health. My mouth has been salivating, and I'll tell you why, and you'll say, Jesus Christ, Dan, you've really done yourself this time. My mouth has been salivating constantly for the past 7 or 8 days. I'm seeing a dentist tomorrow, but I don't think it's dental related. I'm not entirely sure. It may be. Hopefully it is, so it's not anything else. But the day before all this set on, I don't know what happened to me. I think I've been going through some depression. I've been going through some depression, but I think that because of that, I've been going for the quickest dopamine fix rather than the long-term answer, which is very easy to do when you're depressed, and it's not anything to blame myself on. I think it's a natural human thing that everybody does. I feel low, so I'm going to scroll TikTok, or I'm going to do this, I'm going to watch some Netflix, instead of actually doing what I need to do, because it's almost like the fastest answer your brain knows to give itself that quick drug to feel better when you're feeling low. The problem with this is it genuinely works like any drug. You feel lower and lower and lower over time because, one, you're neglecting your health and everything you should be doing. 2, you're just fucking sending your dopamine receptors AWOL anyway, so they're going to flatline at some point until you end up as a zombie. But anyway, I was not feeling great. I felt like a bit low energy, and I just binged through loads of crisps over a period of a day. I played video games, and I ate. I'm just looking for the packet around me. I ate a whole bag of these Terry's chocolate orange little things. I don't know how many grams of sugar that was. If I go back and I look at the ingredients of what I ate, and there was also a chocolate bar I had like 2 days before that, like a big chocolate bar. So it's crazy, really. One, it's crazy and fascinating, the psychology of someone, myself, who you've seen my struggle, to almost go from this point to getting sick, to getting half well, to actually coming full circle. And I'm behaving almost, not quite, but almost exactly like I was before I got sick when it comes to my diet. And now I'm sick again. Now I'm sick again. Well done, Anthony. Great stuff. Makes sense, doesn't it? It does, yeah. If anything, I have created my own evidence that I'm a fuck up, and I can replicate getting myself in this situation as many times as I want. However, I must acknowledge right now that I am not as sick as I was, and this is still a turning point. This is still a crossroad. And I guess one thing I'd add to that, to anyone who watches this, is that it's okay to, well, it's not okay. It's not okay. It's not okay that I've done this, and I have to take responsibility of it. But if you are also in a situation where maybe your depression has led you to do the wrong thing repeatedly and now you're worse, it is still okay at the point that today, now, you must realize that you are at a crossroad. And if you do not take the right road, you are over. Forget it. And there is so much light, so much taste of life that I received for making sure that I put one foot in front of the other in the right direction, that invigorates me. truly invigorates me to get well again, because even though I feel on many times recently, and I never use this term lightly because I don't like to recognize it in myself, but I felt like I'm dying. I have felt like I'm dying. And I know we use that term all the time, or people do use that term all the time, but I genuinely feel like my cells are like grey with just this awful toxic cesspit that I've provided for it in the form of my nutrition. So what have I done since the last 7 days? And how are we going down the right road? Well, firstly, I have started to ferment my own foods, which I'm having great fun with. And I say I've started to ferment my own foods. I've made one yogurt and my second is setting. And this has been over the past 3 days. Secondly, I've introduced raw dairy again. And this has been for the past 3 weeks. This has been 3 weeks. I found a much better farm now. Old Hall Farm. Absolutely incredible micro dairy. They look after the cows so well. They do not separate the calves from the cow. The milk it just tastes like melted ice cream. It's so creamy, so rich in nutrients, so good for you. You can taste the fats. Their cream from the farm is insane. I've never tasted anything like it. It's got a lot of fat to it. And fat, when you've got a broken stomach, is essential for building blocks to repair it. I've started bone broth today. I haven't made my own yet, but I have found a company that does a low FODMAP bone broth. I think they're called Borough something. That's Borough, Bououghgh. And they have a low FODMAP. So I ordered a batch of those before I go and make my own. My induction hob turns itself off, and I'm moving out soon, but because of that, I can't rely on actually, simmering? I don't know. I can't rely on making my own broth anyway. So, I am getting on top of my diet. I'm also back on Alimed, Allicin, which I've banged on about a lot, but this stuff, if you don't know about Allicin, just do yourself a favor, right? It's an absolute joy to just sit there and read about all the amazing thing that Allicin does. And don't just read articles. Go look for medical papers. Go look at PubMed and all this stuff. Go look at wicked research, man. And look at the power of Allicin. Put in different things that they've studied. Things like Allicin and Candida, Allicin and Ebola, and only go for actual literature, not just some article, but actual literature, and you will find amazing studies on so much stuff. Put in things like Allicin and vitamin C, and you'll find papers by people that have tested the efficiency of and the effectiveness of Allicin plus vitamin C towards specific pathogens, and it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing, the research that has already been done that we just don't know about. And you will convince yourself by the end of the day, by the end of the hour, that Allicin should definitely be in your regimen for things that you take to kill off the bad stuff, if you have bad stuff. And right now I do. So, with fermenting the yogurt, I'm also getting amazing probiotics as part of it. So by the way, the raw milk that I'm drinking is A2 milk. I don't know. Well, actually, I've done tests, the food sensitivity test recently. I don't know about the lab. They're called Surreal, and I should probably find another lab that's more reputable and do another, because I don't feel like super confident in it. But my milk markers were like 0 basically. I'm drinking A2 milk anyway, which is just a different type of milk. It's still from Jersey cows. They just have a different protein or something that means that they make A2 milk. instead of the normal milk. They're exactly the same. One just has a different protein in it. It tastes exactly the same. It does the same thing. Has as much nutrients and good bacteria in it. So when you make yogurt, you get whey that comes off it, right? Now, normally when you open a yogurt and you have that little pool of liquid, that's actually whey, I believe. I think it is. I at least know that when I make yogurt here and I have that left over, that is whey. And the thing about whey, when it's in liquid form like that, when you've made it with raw milk, and I'm also using the Old Hall Farm Greek yogurt as a starter culture for the milk that I've been buying from them. Their yogurt is amazing. Like, their Greek yogurt is incredible. It's a little pricey, so I'm trying to make it myself because that would be like amazing. My first batch basically turned into a soft cheese, but it's really nice soft cheese and it's really good for me, so I'm gonna eat it anyway. But I will certainly try and get this next batch right, and I'll keep experimenting until I have perfect Greek yogurt that I love. Anyway, sorry, the whey that comes off it, this liquid, is basically like pure probiotics that I can have now whenever I want. So I've got the Greek yogurt, but I've also got this golden liquid, this amazing liquid that I can have as like shots, or whatever. I can put it into different ingredients. If I make like a soup, I can put it in that for just extra probiotics. It's a really good, cool thing, and I'm getting really into this. I've been researching things, and I get manic, right? I'm like complete ADHD, and I obsess about things, but right now I'm obsessed about fermenting stuff, and I guarantee it won't be long before I have complete fermenting equipment, and I'm a rocket scientist at fermenting. So I'll make some videos on that because I think it would be really interesting to see how easy it is, because I always thought it was quite hard, and I've tried to make kefir and stuff on like my windowsill that I didn't really know what I was doing. So I'll go through the process on this YouTube channel, and I'll try and make this channel more valuable. You know, I want to keep the old videos I've got, but I want to make it more valuable to people. I'd love it to be a great resource center. Maybe even talk to people who are also sick, so we can kind of get a conversation going, a dialogue going with others, and try and pick pieces from each person. It's very important to maintain a positive energy and also to keep learning. Hello, Sam. So my little girl's just come through to say happy birthday to me. Here she is. So that's it. That's where I'm at. I'm fermenting food. I'm distilling my water again, adding minerals. I haven't drank tap water for, honestly, well, this is a lie, because when I drink tea, I boil the kettle. So that's a bit of a lie. But apart from that, I only drink. I only drink mineral water. But I've now started distilling my water again, and I'll use the big containers. I don't think I ever showed those, but I have big containers that I drink my water out of, and I just drink like a mason jar worth of water a day, basically, or two a day. So yeah, we're focusing on gut health. We're going to the dentist tomorrow to see what the saliva is all about, and I also have a Candida Cleanse. Jesus Christ, my skin is really bad again at the moment, and I don't know if I ever showed like all of the weird things that I have on my skin, but they're basically yeast. So we see these, now these are lighter than usual, and by the way, I have these all over my body, but these are lighter than usual because I've been using propolis on them. And propolis is amazing for skin issues. So I use a local tincture. It's made from an apiary, I don't know how to say that word. Aperi, I don't know. It's one of those words where I've never seen anyone else say it. I've only read it, so I'm probably saying it wrong, but I think it's aperi or apiary. There's a bee place, right? Where there's a ton of bees and they're making propolis to protect their hives. It's local, it's really good, it's a good tincture. And I basically slather it all over the skin issues I have, and they always go away. Come back. And they always go away if I use them enough. So they're a little bit lighter than usual. The thing is that I know that this is not just a skin issue. This is deep, this is within me. And I have to make sure that I clean my body out. When I have cleaned up my skin in the past, admittedly with fluconazole, all my symptoms basically went away. I'd say 90%. That might be a high number to be fair, but a lot of my symptoms went away. Come on, come here and be quiet. A lot of my symptoms went away. So I know that a lot of my issues do come from dysbiosis and yeast overgrowth. I've done stool tests that show that I have too much yeast, as there was yeast found in my stools. So anyway, it's been a long video. I can see it's 26 minutes. I am taking the right road at this point, and I've already let it go too far. I'm not well. It's my 31st birthday today. I haven't seen anybody. I didn't even see my father today, who was going to come over, but I'm just so out of it. I don't want to go outside. This is the first burst of energy I've had all day, and it's 10:35 p.m. I'm going to make a couple steaks right now with raw butter, and I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to try get an early night because I have the dentist. My sleep's all over the place, but I'll try and sleep so I can get to the dentist tomorrow on time. And I will let you know how things go, because it's action mode again, and it's important that I hold myself accountable by doing these videos right now. I also think it would be very valuable to anybody else who is on their health journey. If I could go back these 5 years, these 6 years, is it 5 or? It's 5 years. Do you know what? I've just realized it's not 5 years, it's 6 years. 6 years, because it was 2016 that I got sick. 6 years, it's too long. Whoa. If I'd have found this vault of knowledge that I've created and I could hand it, sorry, I lost my train of thought because of the 6 years thing. If I could bundle all this up, everything I'd learned, and give it to me in 2016, I know that I would just have had such a short pathway to health. Would I have learned all my lessons? That's another thing. Probably not. So look, it is what it is. But hopefully there's somebody out there who takes the lessons from me. As always, do your own research. Do not follow my things, ABC. They likely will not work for you. You must try and do your research. There is things that I have tried that very likely will benefit your life. So try things too and experiment. But remember, we're all different. All of our diets are different. I've tried every diet under the sun. I still don't really know what I should be eating. Which reminds me, I didn't talk about GAPS. So I am going to be trying the GAPS diet. And we'll see more about that. Anyway, just put that in right at the end there when nobody's watching anymore. So that's it. Stay well, stay as happy as you can be, and I will see you soon. Take care.